Hi everybody, I'm Moose, and I don't think I would consider Infinity War the most ambitious crossover event in history.
Wow.
Everyone's from the same company. I mean, do you consider Space Jam a crossover?
Pardon me, Mr. Jordan. Could I have your
Ready Player One feels a little closer, like dumping out all your action figures and having Luke Skywalker fight Carnage. But when I think of incredible crossovers, of immortal icons impossibly occupying the same screen, the first thing that comes to my mind is Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It shares the same Spielbergian source code as Ready Player One, and well, we know Roger Rabbit's amazing.
Thanks. I needed that.
And since Ready Player One is getting rave reviews too, today I want to look at the similarities between them and ask what could be the most important question of our times. Is Ready Player One the new Roger Rabbit? Let's start at the source, because both of these films are based on weird-ass books. Look, a lot of people are dismissing Ready Player One based on the source novel, and I liked it. I really dug the concept, the plot, and the sheer enthusiasm. But let's face it, you don't read Ernest Cline for deep characterization and gut-wrenching prose. If you've got the ebook, do a Control-F search for the word classic. He uses it 32 times to describe all the references he drops, instead of actually telling us why all these 80s icons are so awesome.
Classic mix-up. Classic. Driving drunk. Classic.
For example, the Vonnegut was a heavily modified Firefly-class transport vessel modeled after the Serenity in the classic Firefly TV series. And then, 30 pages later, Shoto's vessel was a large interplanetary trawler named the Kurosawa, modeled after a ship called the Bebop in the classic anime series Cowboy Bebop. And it goes on like this, folks. You should say why they're so cool. Because it's slick and stylish like Cowboy Bebop, or because it's heartfelt and hilarious like Serenity, not classic.
You want to run this ship? Yes. Well, you can't.
When Ready Player One came out in 2012, we weren't quite as inundated with remakes and reboots and desperate attempts to cash in on our nostalgia.
I'll be back.
What?
But in a post-Memberberries world, it's hard to read without cringing just a little bit.
Remember Chewbacca again? Oh, I love to remember Chewbacca.
Still, the seeds of a great movie are in there. The virtual oasis offers limitless possibilities for action and spectacle, and the thrilling treasure hunt is tailor-made for a big, satisfying summer blockbuster. Besides, if history's shown us anything, it's that the source material doesn't always tell you a lot about the adaptation. Believe it or not, Roger Rabbit was based on a book, a 1981 mystery by Gary Wolfe called Who Censored Roger Rabbit. It's got almost nothing to do with the movie. For one thing, the tunes in the book are all comic strip characters like Hagar the Horrible and Beetle Bailey. And when they speak, their words appear in speech balloons above their head. It's not exactly cinematic. So for the movie, Disney and Spielberg dumped the comic concept and pretty much the entire plot and replaced it with a Chinatown-esque noir film set in the golden age of animation. Only 2 lines survived from the book: Baby Herman's,
"My problem is I got a 50-year-old lust and a 3-year-old dinky,"
and Jessica's iconic,
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Roger Rabbit is a movie that transcends its weird source material to become something greater, and I know Spielberg can do the same with Ready Player One. I mean, just look at Jaws. Peter Benchley's book was a trashy beach read. It had boring subplots about the mob and an icky affair between Richard Dreyfuss and Brody's wife. But Spielberg cut away the bullshit until only the pure, compelling narrative remained. From Jurassic Park to Minority Report, the man is an adaptation expert, even if, and maybe because, they're not the most faithful. But if anyone can make an incredible movie out of Ready Player One, it's him. Or if he's unavailable,
Then get me his non-union Mexican equivalent. Listen, Senor Spielbergo, I want you to do for me what Spielberg did for Oscar Schindler.
Spielberg is the only human alive who could pull off 2 crossovers of this magnitude. I mean, who else could wrangle the rights? During the pre-production of Roger Rabbit, Disney ran into a huge problem. This movie needs to have cartoons spanning all of Hollywood history. It couldn't just be Mickey and the gang, because then it would just be Kingdom Hearts.
Guilty.
They'll pay for this.
But when Disney came looking for the rights, the studios that owned the other characters either refused their request or demanded boatloads of money. That's when they called in Spielberg, who, thank God, is a massive animation geek.
I think all directors should be animators first, because you really can take the imagination and become something tangible. It's something you can hold in your hand. You can say, can you see this? No? Well, I can.
He played a huge part in bringing the art form back to prominence in the 80s and 90s, from producing An American Tail with Don Bluth to single-handedly reviving Warner Brothers' animation department.
Who are you people?
You can thank Spielberg for Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, Batman, and Freakazoid.
Hey, you guys in there! You want to watch my show?
There we go. We did it. We finally mentioned Freakazoid. Insert an unrelated Freakazoid joke right here.
And now, a shot of a busy freeway.
Now, Spielberg didn't direct Roger Rabbit. That was Back to the Future's Bob Zemeckis. But as producer, his most important role was getting the other studios to play ball. Spielberg convinced them to license out their tunes for a ridiculously cheap price of $5,000 per character. Just think about how insane that is. I couldn't license Cow and Chicken for $5 grand.
Never.
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 They did come with some restrictions though. In the final film, the biggest stars are always together in the frame, like Donald and Daffy's piano duel or Mickey and Bugs' bizarre skydiving scene.
Aw, poor fella.
That's because in their contract, Warner Brothers insisted that the Looney Tunes have equal screen time as the Disney characters. Now, some studios still had the stones to straight up stymie Spielberg, which is why you don't see Tom and Jerry, or Popeye, or Little Lulu, or Casper the Friendly Ghost, or any of those guys in the final film. But overall, Roger Rabbit is an extremely impressive feat, and one I never thought we'd see again in today's ultra-corporate Hollywood. But hey, I thought John Cena versus The Rock was once in a lifetime, and they had a rematch the next year. For Ready Player One, Spielberg came out swinging. For one thing, between Warner Brothers and his own Amblin Entertainment, they've already got the rights to a ton of characters referenced in the novel. And given the success of the book, it wasn't hard to convince other studios to jump on board. Even video game publishers wanted in, although again, sacrifices had to be made. They replaced Ultraman with the Iron Giant, and while I'm happy to see him again, didn't he choose not to be a mindless weapon of death and destruction?
It's okay, it's okay. We gotta show them you're good.
Instead of stomping through a CGI battlefield, blasting people with reckless abandon. I don't know if Brad Bird would approve, but still, the Iron Giant is a pretty good get, but he's small potatoes compared to Star Wars.
I'm sure you are.
Not even the House of Mouse can refuse Spielberg, most likely because they really want to get that new Indiana Jones movie off the ground for whatever reason. So it's pretty much confirmed we're gonna at least see an X-Wing or two. Although Disney did draw the line at their Marvel characters. And honestly, with Infinity War coming out just a few weeks later, I think I'm all set. The Oasis would be pretty damn sparse without Spielberg, and Toontown's population would be pathetic. Studios hate sharing their precious IP, but with Spielberg, they knew it was in good hands. That wasn't always the case though. Roger Rabbit and Ready Player One have one more thing in common. A lot of people had their doubts. Disney hated Roger Rabbit. CEO Michael Eisner and Roy Disney were horrified about how dark and risque the film turned out, and that's before they found out about the animators sneaking in subliminal nudity. After disastrous test screenings, they demanded changes, but Zemeckis had final cut privileges and refused to alter a single frame. As a result, Disney decided to release it under their more adult Touchstone Films banner, and surprise, the movie was a huge success. But because they chickened out at the last minute, Roger Rabbit isn't really considered part of the Disney canon. The bigwigs wouldn't give it a chance, and it's their loss, the same way a lot of people don't want to give Ready Player One a chance. People who dismiss it as a shallow, nostalgia circle jerk, and having read the book, they kind of have a point. But if you look beyond Ernest Cline's bad writing and awkward name dropping, it's obvious that he really, truly loves the classics.
Classic.
and his passion shines through on every single page. Ready Player One and Roger Rabbit are about breaking down the walls between reality and fiction, between people and pop culture, and between characters you never dreamed would ever meet. If Roger Rabbit is any indication, Spielberg will be able to look past all the references, discover the story worth the spectacle, and find the heart that's at the core of Ready Player One. Thanks for watching, everybody. I had my doubts about Ready Player One, but honestly, after all these early reviews, it looks like Spielberg kind of nailed it. Leave a comment and let me know what character you're most excited to see in the movie, and as always, please subscribe to Now This Nerd.